I have found my Grail football boot. Let's get into it. So this is the Mizuno Wave Cup Legend in this beautiful, beautiful blue Rivaldo colorway. A lot of you may be wondering how on earth did I find such a legendary boot? That was released, I believe, in 2020. So yeah, so basically I've been searching for a pair of Wave Cups for the longest time, almost over a year. And I guess patience pays off. I didn't pay those insane resale prices. I actually found this below retail on eBay. It was one of those where if I didn't buy it right there and then somebody else would have bought it. I'd say, I've been fortunate enough to have tried, different Morelias. I've had different leather Mizuno boots in hand. And straight out the box, there's just something phenomenal about the level quality on the Wave Cup. I guess that's why people say, the Wave Cup is the peak Mizuno boot. You can't really get better than a Wave Cup in terms of quality and just, you know, how legendary a boot can actually be in terms of Mizuno boots. I am still undecided if I'm actually gonna play in these. I'm a big advocate for, wearing your boots. But when it comes to a boot like this, how legendary, it is, I don't know if I would actually play in them. I would wear them, for example, if I'm doing coaching or if it's just like a light session, yeah. But in terms of actually play, I'm not sure. It's still something I'm deciding about. As I'm looking at the boot, I can see, for example, the Morelia Proto. The stitching pattern on the Morelia Proto takes heavy inspiration from the Wave Cup models as well as the Regular as well. The Wave Cup is basically a mashup of the Regular and the Morelia Proto. As you know, I said, this is one of my Grail football boots. It's not the Grail because for me, the Grail for me is the Nike Magista Obra. That for me is upper echelon. But this comes very close, and I'm happy to have had this, or I'm happy to have added it to my collection, of course. Even just the smell of the leather, jeez, might be a bit weird, but if you have this in hand, you'll be able to understand what I'm saying. And I know my fellow bootheads that own a Wave Cup, they know what I'm saying. But yeah, guys, thank you for watching. Hopefully, I can get a pair of Magista Obras brand new. I did say I'm still contemplating on actually wearing them, but you never know. You know, maybe in a few weeks you might see a play tests of the Wave Cup. You never know. But until then, I'll just look at them, admire them.